All right, well, joining us now to talk more about Larry King's legacy is Jim Bohannon. He is the host of the Jim Bohannon Show, and he's been voted one of the top 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America 3 times, and he's a 50-year broadcasting veteran. So, Jim, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So the first question I want to ask you is, tell us something about Larry King that none of us know.
Okay. Larry did not handle personal finances terribly well. And that got him in not only financial, but on occasion legal difficulties. And at one point, he arranged with his agent, Bob Wolf, for his paychecks to all be sent to Bob. Bob would pay Larry's bills, would make prudent investments, and give Larry an allowance. And then Larry could take that allowance if he wanted to go to the racetrack and bet everything on a long shot horse, and the horse lost. Larry's net worth was diminished by hardly anything at all. I don't think that's commonly known, but Larry was not that secretive about it. He knew he didn't handle money well.
That is an interesting thing you bring up. At one point, he was arrested. That case was later dismissed, but it's something that people don't think about because he was able to fulfill a legacy that had nothing to do with that because he was so strong in so many other areas of his life. You were his fill-in radio host for 10 years, and you actually stepped in and filled his time slot when he left. Those were some pretty big shoes to fill. Did he give you any advice?
He did, absolutely. I think the best advice I've ever had in radio, that is, be yourself. For one thing, all the other positions are taken. And in addition to that, of course, it would be better to be a top-notch Jim Bohannon than a second-rate Larry King. And I thought that was very wise advice because, of course, there's a tendency when you fill in for a legend, you want to be just like him. And no, I didn't want to be a pale imitation.
Was that nerve-wracking to step in for him like that?
Not really. Larry was pretty easy for me to work with. I don't know how others felt about working with him, but again, Larry was supportive. He was helpful. He was friendly. And so not really that big. No, I enjoyed the time. I was afraid that I would be running into some screaming prima donna jerk, and that was not the case with Larry.
Well, that's a relief. He was perhaps the world's greatest interviewer. That's what he was known for. Tell us what you learned from him in terms of your broadcasting skills and career, and also lessons from him just as a person and a friend.
I learned, first of all, about interviewing. The fact that you are trying to elicit information about people. It is not just a case of scoring gotcha points. And that's the reason that Larry got a lot of interviews that he got. You would occasionally see people on Larry's shows that you didn't see anywhere else. And there was a reason for that, because some people just are very sensitive or they feel they have things to hide. And these people felt that Larry would give them a fair shake. And I think that was very important. Now, he's been accused of having a softball style. But you will notice that what Larry got from that style was answers to questions. And if you come on like you're trying to nail somebody to the wall, frequently you simply get a stonewalling. So I learned that. Personally, I don't know that I learned a great deal. I learned to manage my own money, I suppose, so that would be about it. I didn't quite reach the total level of marriages, so.
Well, that's a good skill to have. So Larry King, he went from radio to cable to internet, so he was very resilient even into his 80s. He was adaptable. It's not easy to stay in this business for so long and be such a successful household name. What do you think it was that carried him through all these years?
Consistency, I think, and the fact that he did, in fact, attract people that other people wanted to see and wanted to hear. So I think that Larry and his style helped a great deal, but let's not forget the supporting cast. Everybody who was anybody appeared on Larry King Live or on his radio show on the Mutual Broadcasting System. So that was a great part of the appeal. Not just Larry, but Larry and whomever. That made a lot of difference.
Right. You knew you were tuning into something good no matter when it was.
Yeah.
Final question for you. What were some of his most memorable interviews to you? What stand out to you?
Oh, I would have to think the most memorable one I can recall would be moderating the NAFTA debate between Ross Perot and Al Gore. That certainly, I think, reached new levels of audience for cable and for Larry in particular. I guess we'll never forget the famous Marlon Brando kiss. But other than that, I would say that those were the big ones. Those were the big ones. I enjoyed very much watching those, and you never knew with Larry what exactly we were going to get. Certainly, the Marlon Brando kiss, I think, was in a class by itself.
I would agree with you. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jim. We really appreciate having you tonight.
Thank you.